Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now? You done messed up, Ron!
Ron is back again. SPTV, late night edition. We're still, every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Let me put all my notifications on silence here. Okay, guys, late breaking news. Emily Armstrong, the Scientologist who's been named the new lead singer for Linkin Park, has issued a public apology for defending Danny Masterson, Scientologist, convicted violent serial rapist Danny Masterson. Emily Armstrong is one of the Scientologists that helped Danny Masterson show up to court with a show of force, a bit of an entourage of about 20 people for a hearing that Danny Masterson already knew he was just going to go in and ask for a postponement. This was not an actual, there was no proceedings that were going to be occurring. This was actually his arraignment. And this happened during the COVID era a few years ago. And anyway, Emily Armstrong was part of Danny Masterson's entourage who showed up and intimidated Danny Masterson's victims in the hallway of the courthouse in a way that the sheriff's deputies said they had never witnessed before outside of a gang prosecution. Okay. Now, if you ask me what has prompted this apology is that the Linkin Park management, whoever manages Linkin Park, probably realized, hey, remember what happened to Ashton, Kutcher, and Mila Kunis when they wrote a letter to the judge asking the judge to be lenient on Danny Masterson because what a great, great guy he was. Remember the blowback that they experienced even after they apologized? Sure would suck if the entire Linkin Park band got dragged into that sort of debacle over something that a singer we just added to the band 2 days ago is wrapped up in. I've got bad news, though. This apology makes Ashton and Mila's apology look amazing. This, instead of telling you how you should feel about it, I'll show it to you, and you can decide on your own how you feel about it. But just as an example of the brewing storm that has hit Linkin Park and Emily Armstrong, this is Rolling Stone. #1 trending article is Cedric Bixler-Zavala slams Linkin Park's Emily Armstrong over alleged Danny Masterson support. And this article refers to this post from Cedric Bixler-Zavala, the frontman, the singer for the Mars Volta and At the Drive-In. And I'll just read it for you because I know not everyone's already, I know everyone hasn't already seen the videos I've already done on this. So this is what Cedric Bixler-Zavala posted. This was yesterday to his Instagram. I'm surprised none of you, this is a post that he put up on the page of the band Dead Sarah. Emily Armstrong is actually also the singer for the band Dead Sarah. Okay. I'm surprised none of you wrote a letter on Danny Masterson's behalf since your corny ass singer showed up to support him in the prelims. Remember, Emily? I just realized, everyone, I should not assume that all of you know Cedric Bixler-Zavala's wife, Chrissy Carnell Bixler, was Jane Doe 3 in the Danny Masterson rape trials. And that is why Cedric is speaking about this publicly. He says, I'm surprised that none of you wrote a letter on Danny Masterson's behalf since your corny ass singer showed up to support him in the prelims. Remember, Emily? Remember how your fellow Scientologist goon squad surrounded one of the Jane Does when she was trying to leave the elevators? The court sheriffs had to escort her away from your awful cult. Remember when we did the purification rundown, Emily? Were you directed to safe point me because of what my wife knew? Why can't you shut your mouth during a detox program where people are going through some rough shit, but your corny ass your corny ass is singing like an unsupervised child? Is it because you're a born-in Scientologist that gets a pass? How do you reconcile the homophobia found in the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics? Do your fans know about your friend, Danny Masterson, your rapist friend? Well, Cedric set the music industry on fire with that. And his post has been going absolutely viral. And I knew, all day today, I was thinking, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis. There is absolutely no way Linkin Park is going to survive this storm without addressing this better than Ashton and Mila did. And I actually had a high degree of confidence that they would see that, understand that, and execute appropriately. They have totally fumbled the ball on this. Okay, so let me just show you. This is the apology. Let me bring it up in a different way. I don't like that. I don't like that. Oh, well, let's do that. Okay, she goes, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to so many of you, and I wanted to clear the air about something that happened a while back. Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. I've never spoken with him since. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. To say it as clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of those crimes." I got to tell you, when I read the apology through quickly at first, I was like, damn, that's an apology. And then I read it a second time through, and a third time through, and a fourth time through, and I started to get angrier and angrier and angrier. It started to become more and more obvious to me how much of a non-apology this was, and how this was the bare minimum lip service that she could do to say something that would sound to some people like an apology, but to Scientologists, who are the ones she's worried of getting on the bad side of because she is a Scientologist and has to follow their rules, to a Scientologist, every single sentence of this apology essentially is a plausible deniability that she's even talking about Danny Masterson. So, and by the way, for those of you who have seen the last two videos I've done on this, I was able to verify today that Emily Armstrong's mother and father are not only veteran Sea Org members, but they actually work in the Office of Special Affairs. They actually work in the Department of Scientology that handles litigation and harassment of former members. The Office of Special Affairs is the dirty tricks department of Scientology. They handle legal, they handle media, they handle PR, and through their lawyers and private investigators and hired goons, they are responsible for the harassment of former Scientologists that Danny Masterson's victims are currently suing him for. Okay. That is who Emily's parents are. Okay. So if we take a look at this apology, "Hi, I'm Emily. I'm new to you. I want to clear the air about something that happened a while back." Fine. "Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance." It does beg the question, who asked you? Now, I guess the most obvious answer would just be her good friend, Danny Masterson. Now, Ashton and Mila said that it was Danny's mother, Carol, who specifically asked them to write those letters to the court. But that was after the conviction. So after the conviction, Danny's already in jail at this point. Of course, Danny's not the one who personally asked Ashton and Mila to write those letters. It makes sense that it would be Danny's mom. But back at this time, see, that's why I think she's sort of trying to telegraph Ashton and Mila's apology, but doing a bad job of it. Back at this time, there's no question. It was her friend Danny who just asked her to come to court and support him. Now I ask you, why does she not say Danny Masterson's name? Ashton and Mila actually said Danny Masterson's name. What Ashton and Mila did not do was specifically mention Danny Masterson's victims. But they at least acknowledged their apology in their video was about Danny Masterson. Emily doesn't even say that. "Several years ago, I was asked to support someone I considered a friend at a court appearance and went to one early hearing as an observer. Soon after, I realized I shouldn't have." Why? The hearing that Emily went to was the arraignment. And by the way, the hearing that she went to, there wasn't even a hearing. They showed up. They requested a postponement. A postponement was granted. Everybody left. There was no hearing. So Emily, do tell. Inquiring minds want to know what transpired between the time you showed up to the arraignment to support Danny and help intimidate his victims and the time that you decided you should not have done that. What happened? How much time transpired? What made you change your mind, Emily? Okay, I realized I shouldn't have. I always try to see the good in people, and I misjudged him. That's a very fair statement. That statement perfectly reflects what I said in my last video earlier today about this subject, which is that as a dyed-in-the-wool, second-gen, true-believing Scientologist, Emily would not want to believe that Danny was even capable of doing these crimes, and almost certainly did not believe he had committed these crimes. The line that Scientology has been feeding Scientologists is that all of the women who've accused Danny Masterson of rape, even though it's Scientologists and non-Scientologists, it's people in California, it's people in Florida, it's people in Canada, it spans multiple decades. Somehow Leah Remini rounded up all these women and convinced them to get their story straight and get on the same page and bring Scientology down a notch by bringing down its C-list celebrity, Danny Masterson. That's what Scientologists are told. That is what Emily most likely would have believed, not only because she was a Scientologist, but also because she was Danny Masterson's good friend. Okay. She continues on. I have never spoken with him since. Now that's funny because there was 2 entire trials that occurred since the arraignment that Emily showed up to. Danny Masterson's best friend is Chris Wadhams. Chris Wadhams tours with Emily's band, Dead Sarah. Chris Wadhams was at every day of the first trial and the second trial. I sat right across the aisle from him in court every day for the second trial. Chris Wadhams is such good friends with Danny and Danny's wife, Bijou, that Chris donated a kidney to Bijou. So, and by the way, a whole mess of Danny Masterson's friends would show up every day. Scientologists who are also very good friends with Sarah. We are talking about who's the guy that was married to, when I try to remember the names of these Scientologists, I'm going to forget them. So let's skip that part. I won't. If it comes to me, I'll mention them. By the way, the Scientologists who were showing up every day to support Danny Masterson in court are the same Scientologists that Emily was just hanging out with on July 4th, because this isn't a shocker. She's a Scientologist and she's friends with the entire crowd that Danny Masterson is a part of. She's trying to distance herself in some way that is only believable, that would only be believable to people who don't know her, don't know her crowd, don't understand Scientology, and don't understand the LA Scientology scene. Okay. I have never spoken with him since. Next sentence. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. Now, this is a little bit of a play on words. What do you mean unimaginable? Now, a charitable interpretation would be shocking, incredible, unbelievable, mind-boggling details. Or it also could mean like details that are actually hard to believe are true. Okay, we can be charitable or we can be cynical, but that's my point. She used words that to the outward-facing world might mean one thing, but to the Scientologist, whose is the only opinion she actually cares about, means something very different. Unimaginable details emerged, and he was later found guilty. Well, yeah, we know that from reading it in the press, Emily. Do you think he was guilty? Do you think he was guilty? Do you believe Danny's victims? Because I don't think you do. Now, let's look at the last sentence, which is also the last paragraph. And this is where she makes the exact same mistake that Ashton and Mila did, okay? So her apology portion was worse as Ashton and Mila's, and her landing was just as bad. Okay, she goes, to say it as clearly as possible, I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of these crimes. Okay, let's break that sentence down. I do not condone abuse or violence against women, and I empathize with the victims of abuse and the victims of violence against women. Emily, you had one job, just one job. You could have done what Ashton and Mila did not do. You could have said, I empathize with Danny Masterson's victims. You don't even have to name them. you could have gotten away with just saying empathize. You wouldn't even have had to say apologize, because at least you would have done what Ashton and Mila didn't. Say Danny Masterson's victims. So at no point in your so-called apology do you even mention Danny Masterson. And at no point in your apology do you even mention his victims. So what the hell are you apologizing for? Okay. Oh, now I don't know why Ashton and Mila couldn't bring themselves to just say Danny Masterson's victims. But I do think I know why Emily Armstrong can't say that. In Scientology, it is considered a high crime, a suppressive act, to in any way aid or assist someone that Scientology calls a known declared suppressive person. Now, any former Scientologist who has ever spoken about publicly against Scientology is a declared suppressive person. Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 3 specifically are known declared suppressive people. I'm only not including Jane Doe 2 in that because Jane Doe 2 wasn't actually a Scientologist. And so that's why I'm saying Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 3 were Scientologists completely. She's not allowed to say, I apologize or I empathize with Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 3. Or I empathize or I apologize with Danny Masterson's victims, because that includes at least two known declared suppressive persons. In my opinion, as a former Scientologist, that is the reason Emily did not do that. And that is the reason this apology will go down in flames even harder than the Ashton and Mila apology. And I would like to remind you, I would like to remind you about that apology so that you can see for yourselves whether Ashton and Mila, who got horrifically canceled for their apology, whether Ashton and Mila's apology is better or worse than what Emily just put out. All right, here we go. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Yeah, how about that?
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never.
I believe the next line out of Mila Kunis's mouth is going to be her, where she apologizes to all victims of all crimes against women, kind of like what Emily did. So I just wanted to say, pay attention now.
Never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
There you go. Our heart goes out to everyone who's ever been a victim of. It is that last part that caused Ashton and Mila to experience such a negative reaction to this apology. And Emily did the exact same thing. So I guess the jury is out, guys. I mean, I guess the jury is the public. What will the public response be to this apology? And also, at least Ashton and Mila did a video. Emily published something on her Instagram story that's going to be that's going to disappear in 24 hours. I don't know, guys. I think Ashton and Mila's apology was much, much better. That's my opinion. I saw some additional feedback after my video earlier today that really drove home to me why this whole subject of a Scientologist someone who's a member of an organization that actually not only doesn't believe in mental health care, but believes that psychiatrists are the source of pretty much all evil on planet Earth. A Scientologist would, if given the option, would take someone off of their medications, because Scientologists are told, there's a rule in Scientology that someone who takes medications like antidepressants as prescribed by a physician, if you take those drugs long enough, even for a short amount of time as a few months, you're ineligible to receive any Scientology auditing for the rest of this lifetime. And since Scientologists believe that you just live lifetime after lifetime after lifetime here on Earth, you would find some Scientologists who would tell you that if you are what they call an illegal PC, someone who's not eligible to get Scientology auditing because you've been under psychiatric care, it's kind of a wasted lifetime. Why don't you just drop your body and pick up a new body? And when you have an organization that has a policy of preventing people from reporting sexual crimes against children to the authorities, and when you consider that Chester Bennington, who was the front man for Linkin Park, when he took his own life, I believe it was back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Apologies if I have the year wrong. And, part of the demons that he was fighting had to do with, his mental health, but also due to having been a victim of child sexual assault. And so to replace him, and so, because he was open about these things, he was public about these things, and these issues informed their music. And he was a beloved figure by the fans, obviously. And so to replace him with someone who's in an organization, supports an organization that is against mental health, would take people off of any medications, would encourage people not to get counseling, would encourage people not to get therapy. And many Scientologists have unalived themselves because of being prevented from getting this kind of help. And to be replaced with a person who also supported Danny Masterson, considering that he was then exposed as a serial rapist. I'm talking at least 8 women have come forward. Different countries, different states, different decades, in Scientology, out of Scientology. It's understandable why this issue is so important to the fans of Linkin Park. It's also why the members of Linkin Park should really understand what they're dealing with when they are dealing with Scientology and people who support Scientology. And one of the things I said in my video yesterday is, Emily is actually herself, by any reasonable definition, a victim of Scientology. She was born into it. She was brought up in it. She was basically a child slave for Scientology. I received information from a couple people today about Emily, who knew her as a child in Scientology. And I want to read a couple things. Both of these people were also kids in Scientology at the same time that Emily was both of the people I'm going to read you information from were basically child slaves in Scientology at the same time and with Emily while she was also a child slave in Scientology. The information from the first person says, first of all, it verified that both of her parents work for the Office of Special Affairs and that both of her parents are still members of the Sea organization. They both would still be in the Office of Special Affairs. This person said there is a small possibility that her dad has recently passed away, but her mother is still alive and still working in the Office of Special Affairs. He says, I want to stress how brutal our upbringing was. No parenting oversight, total child slave labor. And how incredible it is that Emily is still a Scientologist and is not speaking the truth about the abuse that she and all the rest of us kids, about 200 kids, that she and the rest of us endured. He says, whenever I speak of my upbringing, I say that it was the American version of North Korea. And the other information comes from another person that many of you viewers would recognize, but I just don't have specific permission to use the person's name. But she says, I was there at the same time that Emily was in the ranch. I don't want to get into a whole bunch of definitions here, but where Scientology kept its child slaves. Emily is a couple years younger than me. She was at the CEO, the ATA, and the PAC Ranch. For those of you who know what that means, I just wanted you to know, but for those of you who don't, it doesn't matter right now. Emily was a cheerful, energetic kid with long blonde hair. I used to have to brush the knots out of her hair. She probably would have gotten diagnosed with ADHD if she were in a public school. I don't think that she ever actually joined the Sea Organization herself, but her older sister, Adeline, did and was in the Sea Org for many years. Her sister only left recently, about 5 years ago, and her parents are probably still in the Sea Organization. While many of the kids Emily's age were placed into the Sea Org around the year 2000, Emily stayed in Los Angeles, and she and Susie created the band Dead Sarah. Susie's dad is a very wealthy Scientologist who I believe assisted them financially in getting the band going. Emily did not get an education, and I don't think she even did much Scientology other than what we did as kids, but I don't know. She might have done more later on. I think she is in Scientology more so for her family and friends that all still call themselves Scientologists. Many, all of whom were born into it, or many of her friends who were born into it. And maybe also due to the tie with the rich Scientology guy, Stan, who supported Dead Sarah. Okay, so that's just a little bit more information just about Emily's history in Scientology, since there were still a bunch of comments on my video earlier today asking for more evidence, more evidence, more evidence. It sounds like speculation, blah, 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 blah. Scientology is a very, very, very small world. If a former Scientologist were to get up here on YouTube and speak just obvious mistruths about others in the community, it would be very obvious to it would be very obvious to the other former Scientologists in the YouTube space, and you would see that kind of stuff debunked very, very quickly. Scientology is very small. There's only about 20 to 30,000 Scientologists in the entire world. Every Scientologist in the world either knows each other or has a friend in common. That is how small Scientology is. Okay, let's see. Did I have anything else that I wanted to share? We're going to go through some comments real quick. I think that was all the notes that I had. Marilyn is helping me in the back office. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate it. She's helping me star some stuff here. Keith Owen says, you could literally copy and paste her apology from a Google search, a standard PR response. I totally agree. Dylan Wire, did she take it down? I can't find it on her Instagram. Dylan, check her Instagram stories. She didn't put it up as an actual post. And it's quite possible that once I, sorry about that. It's quite possible that once I went live on this, that she took it down. I don't know, but because I considered that that would be a possibility, I actually took a screenshot of my entire screen while I had her story up so that I didn't have to worry about her deleting it in the middle of my live stream. Okay, Witchy Trista. The band definitely insisted that she issue a formal apology. That's right. And that's almost certainly another contributing factor to why it was such a bare bones, minimalistic, not so great apology. Is she was only doing it to comply with the band's wishes. Scientology certainly didn't ask her to do this. She's probably like, what's the bare minimum I can do to comply with the order that I'm being given by whoever her boss is, whoever she's got to listen to, but that wouldn't get me kicked out of Scientology. That's the overriding thing here. Okay. Donna Hanna, aka Ramon's girl, not the subject, but please thinking about doing a members only again. Thank you, Donna. I will think about it. Bananarama, it's sad, really. Lincoln Park left a legacy. Now this scandal, no one needed. They should have chosen better. Yeah. Kylie Price, only said sorry because it's out there. Yeah. Escaping the Cultiverse, A. Gab, good to see you. This sounds like an OSA orchestrated maneuver to save face. Zane Brown, man, this whole thing sucks. Scientology finding a way to ruin shit again. Yeah, Yeah. I guess I want to comment by saying, it's not really Scientology that's doing the ruining here. But I guess in some ways it all, of course, does go back to Scientology. But it's one of the things I really wanted to. It's one of the things I really emphasized in my second video. It's so easy to make this controversy go away. It's so easy. You have to actually say you believe the women's testimony. You believe them. That's why it was a mistake to do what you did. How do you say I realized it was a mistake? And you don't even say why. You don't even, anyway, I won't repeat myself. Okay, Deloga says, I'm going to be sick. I've waited years for this. Now they're back, and not 24 hours later, we learn a sad truth. Now Linkin Park is famous for the wrong reasons. I totally understand. I mean, if I was a fan of the band, I'd be furious. It's not that I don't like the band. I'm just not a big, I guess I'm not a huge music fan to begin with. I don't know. Kind of. Okay. Galen, JD Delay with 1.1 million subs covered this tonight. It was a wild stream. Yeah, I remember JD was also covering the whole Ashton and Mila thing a lot when it happened. And actually, JD would jump into the live chat here when I was doing some of the most recent Masterson coverage. But yeah, his channel has absolutely exploded the last 6 months. It's uncanny. Teresa, Emily's having to be careful about what she says because her parents are in the Sea Org. She risks them disconnecting from her. You are absolutely correct. And if Scientology wasn't such a horrible, family-destroying human trafficking cult, Emily would be free to think for herself enough, or at least have enough latitude to go, hey, you guys know that I have to say this stuff to save my career, right? Like, you're not going to cancel me Scientology style just for saying that I think Danny Masterson was guilty, right? You're not going to destroy my family just because I say I believe Danny Masterson's victims, are you? And if Scientology wasn't such a horrible, family-destroying human trafficking cult, they'd be like, don't worry, Emily, we got you. We understand. Hey, we love it when our members are out there succeeding in the world, showing other people, that Scientologists, can be successful. We're not going to destroy your family. It's okay. Danny's in prison anyway, serving 2 consecutive life sentences. Just say he's guilty. We won't destroy your family. Don't worry. But no, they can't even say that. They can't even give Emily a little bit of air cover so that she can do what she needs to do and say what she needs to say to save her damn career. And that is what a destructive, horrible, family-destroying organization Scientology is. A Sparrow with a Machine Gun. The new Linkin Park album should have been called From Xenu. I see what you did there. That was very, very clever. Uh-oh. Hold on. Her parents are Bill Armstrong and Gail Moxley. Okay, so does that mean, though, when I said her mom is Gail Armstrong, did I have it right or did I have it wrong? Is Gail Moxley her maiden name? It seems like a coincidence here. It seems like it would have been right. I hope you're not saying I was wrong when I said her mom was Gail Armstrong, because I was like 99.5% sure about that. But I knew that there was a, 1 in 1,000 chance that it was a different person. Anyway, I'll have to circle back with you on that one. Okay. Freak Snake. Did nobody think of chatting about Scientology before hiring her? Or I guess they were all down with it. I know. Who knows? Miss Bramlett Jr. Just now on the Instagram stories, Chrissy Bixler said a Scientology PI has been outside of her home all day and stole her trash and other things. Unbelievable. Scientology does not know when to get out of their own way. Joni Cummings, thank you, Aaron, for doing this. Well, thank you, Joni. I appreciate you being here. Joni says, it's like, say I got this, nothing. Wait, it's like, say I got this, nothing could go wrong. And the universe is saying, hold my beer. Indeed. All right, guys. I guess that's all we have on this tonight. I sincerely hope Emily comes back and revisits this apology, does the right thing, and that Scientology doesn't destroy her family for doing so. You'd think Scientology would just do the right thing. Will they? I don't think so. I think we're going to see more of this shitstorm. Stay tuned, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If